Everybody, JWMusic here, and today, why not talk about JAMIROQUAI's newest effort, the comeback album, AUTOMATON, which was, such a good album. They're my thoughts on the album, that's the video, goodbye. No, but seriously, I really did enjoy this album, but I had many concerns before I sat down and listened to it. Now, JAMIROQUAI are known for their funky sounds, you know, white men, black music. However, they haven't been doing this recently. They've been turned more to electro kind of music or kind of pop music, which great on their part. JK's voice is very suited to that kind of sound, and he sounds great like that. But the funk music's where it's at, and that's why I like the band. They're very funky, and I like that kind of music. So I was a bit concerned at the beginning because, you know, it's been 7 years since their last effort, Rock Dust Light Star, which I thought was a great album. It was much better than Dynamite, the one before. However, still not the most amazing record ever. But I feel like, yeah, AUTOMATON, great comeback. Let's talk quickly about the singles. The single AUTOMATON dropped, I believe, in February, and that was a good track. You know, that is a heavy hitter. I feel like it came back hard with the kind of more political messages that they haven't been doing as much recently, with the idea of... I feel like I interpret this track as a robot that's kind of coming into the human world and seeing what he's doing and seeing the humans like react to each other as natural life forms. That he's kind of doesn't know how to react to it, and he's kind of been in this cybernetic world, and now he's out in the new real world, which is just probably how I interpret the song. But it's a really great track, and it's very electro, which is great. It's quite a little bit funky, but it's overall not. It sounds like JAMIROQUAI, but it doesn't sound like the old 1993, 1994 JAMIROQUAI, which was kind of what I hoped for this record, because it's been so long since they did music. And Cloud9, a big comeback to really travelling without moving, synchronized kind of time. You know, with it was very similar to Cosmic Girl, which was possibly one of the biggest hits JAMIROQUAI have ever put out. It's strange to see JAMIROQUAI do a track like this, because I thought they would be trying to kind of shy away from that kind of sound. But yeah, Cloud9 and Cosmic Girl, very similar tracks, which is great. That's actually probably one of their most popular singles at the moment, and it's very popular on Spotify and Tidal for streaming. And also, they played it on The Voice recently too, so it's obviously a crowd pleaser. So the first track on the album, so listening to the album all the way through, is a track called Shake It On, which I was worried there wasn't be enough funk on this album. This track has enough funk for the entire album, really. This track is amazing. Now, I usually like the kind of the funk stuff on the JAMIROQUAI records. You know, great tracks like When You Gonna Learn, Too Young to Die, and things like that. And it's a bit like modern JAMIROQUAI and old JAMIROQUAI kind of made an album together, collaborating, and this is what came out. Shake It On is a great track, and apparently, according to JK, it's been written for quite a few years, since kind of 2013, I think he mentioned, which was quite a while ago, and I wish he put it out back then, because it's such a good track, and I think if it were released as a single, it would be probably more popular with old JAMIROQUAI fans, probably made them buy the album because of how funky it was, and I think that's the pro to this this track. A slight con, it sounds like, I don't even know if I have a con for this album, for this track, sorry. I do feel like it's such a slow start, but it kind of picks it up quite quickly through the track, and it's very kind of what we associate as black music in society now. The next track on the album is, or the next few tracks are the singles, and then we go onto Hot Property, that's a very good track, I must say. It's not the most amazing track on the record. I do think it's overshadowed by Shake It On and later on Nights Out in the Jungle, which is a really good track. I'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, this is a good track. I do feel like it is much better than some of the tracks they've done in the past before, especially much better than some of the stuff they did on Dynamite. It's quite funky. You know, it's got quite a nice. It's very catchy. I feel like this is one of the most catchy songs on the record. Whereas later songs such as Nights Out in the Jungle and Dr. Buzz aren't as memorable, however are good tracks when you listen to them. So it's quite a memorable track. Again, sorry about that. It takes up the kind of love theme, and I do feel like it's kind of set in a nightclub. It's made for the nightclub, which is again something cool that JAMIROQUAI hadn't really done before. The next track, Something About You, is alright. You know, this wasn't a very heavy hitter. It's still quite a good track, but reminds me a bit of You Give Me Something. However, not as, you know, popular as You Give Me Something, and for me personally not as special. It does feel like it's trying to be another You Give Me Something, which is one of the most quite a big song back in the day when it was released. So it's not the most amazing song on the record, but still a good track, and I'm still pleasantly surprised with how this album will turn out. Summer Girl, again, isn't very memorable, very similar to the last few tracks. It's a good track. I feel like it's slower than the rest of them. That might just be me, because we had quite heavy hitters and then it kind of slowed down a bit for me. But yeah, still a good track, but not much to say on this one. Now we get to Nights Out in the Jungle. Oh, this track. I don't know where to start with this track, I'm going to be honest with you. This is like old JWMusic with a few more synthesizers. This starts off with a really heavy bass. It's a fairly long track, about 5 minutes long or so. Actually, that's a good thing about this album. It's a fairly long album. It's got enough tracks to be a proper, powerful album. And it's also got enough minutes in all the tracks to be memorable, but not too kind of draggy, which is great. Nights Out in the Jungle was possibly one of the most surprising songs on this record, because it takes a while for the synthesizers to kick in, whereas in the other tracks, synthesizers are there from the start, accompanying the drums and the bass, which is not the most amazing thing ever, but I do think this track is great. It's possibly one of the most memorable tracks on this piece, because you're always thinking, old JWMusic, this is so great, I didn't expect this to happen. Dr. Buzz, this is another good song. It's very funky. I do like the kind of funk vibes on this album, because it is getting much better with the funk, because they kind of dropped it for the last two albums, which is a bit upsetting. This track is good. It's kind of it's got quite a high chorus kind of bit, and the lyrics are good. It does take a while for the lyrics to kick in, however, but it's a very good track. Not too memorable, but it's a pretty good track. Next, We Can Do It, which kind of has reggae vibes. I don't know why I think this, but it does have kind of a... Reminds me of... I forgot what it's called. Drifting Along on Travelling Without Moving. It's, however, a bit more maybe poppy. It has kind of a reggae... JK almost puts on a kind of a reggae voice while he's singing with this song on kind of basic backing. It's very focused on the voice, this track. Not much is going on behind the voice. However, it's very memorable on this album, because it isn't like any of the other tracks. It's quite a special track, kind of in the very end of this album, which I do like. The next track, Vitamin, and now when I saw this in the set list thing, I was excited because I thought they can do so many things with this track called Vitamin, and it's a very good electro track. It's quite poppy, it's very funky. I really do like this track. It does feel like it would be quite a home on the last album or a Funk Odyssey, but it's a very good track, and it kind of does feel quite American, this track. I don't know why. I think it's because it says Vitamin. But it follows a nice structure for a track, and is a very good JWMusic track. The final song on this album is Carla, and Carla's an okay track, I'll be honest, but it's not very grand finishing off. It doesn't leave you with an overarching impression I feel like Automaton would have been amazing as the last track. Or maybe Nights Out in the Jungle, because Nights Out in the Jungle does feel quite final, and so does We Can Do It, actually. But Carla it's a quite good track. Again, it reminds me quite a bit of Cosmic Girl, but overall it's a good track. Now, overall, what was my thinking about the album? Well, if I had to give it a overall kind of a score, I'd probably give it 4 out of 5. It's doing what I hoped JWMusic would do, but there's still a bit of space for improvement. I feel if they really wanted to get their old audience back and more audience into their music, stick with the poppy kind of vibes, stick with the funky kind of vibes, and maybe just had a bit more variety. This album, it does feel the same quite the way through, and it's a good sound, it's a consistent sound, it's a very nice sound. However, I feel like, especially The Return of the Space Cowboy, had piano tracks, quite aggressive tracks, very slow tracks like Stillness in Time and things like that. So overall, yeah, it was a good album. However, maybe their next effort, I really hope they do another album, because this has just filled me with hope for the future, will be slightly better. Please do like this video, share it with your friends. What do you want me to review next? I'm thinking about going back and reviewing some of the Red Hot Chili Pepper albums, or other JWMusic albums if this video does well. I've got many CDs and many albums I'm listening to. Also, follow me on Spotify. I do playlists, or I will be doing playlists once a month. For now, it's Ultimate Funk, which is about 80 tracks long, and it's all funk. Lots of JWMusic, a few Prince tracks, you know, a lot of quite a few Funkadelic, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Parliament tracks on that playlist too. So do check that out. Link in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.